So I'm going to get started by turning on my construction layers. And I'm going to draw this guy just right below it. So here we go. Construction line. Bam. And then a vertical construction line. Of course, I'm going to line it up with my previous one so that it's not confusing. All right, and that will be the center of our pivot point. I got a couple more very important construction lines to make that will define the full size of this. The centers of each of these circular shapes on the end are 6 inches apart. So if I offset 6 inches on both sides, there you go. And those are your main center lines. Let's draw these circles that make up the pivot. This first one, the inside is given to us as 1 inch, our radius of 0.5, and then the outside we're told is 1.75 on the diameter. There it is. Okay, going to the right side, the inside hole is a 1/2 inch hole or a 1/4 inch radius, and then the larger one, its diameter is 1.38. Let's finish off the right side. Basically, we have to connect these two guys. They are connected by this portion in the middle, which I will refer to as the webbing, and then these pieces up on top and below, which I will refer to as the ribs. You could say it's all webbing, but that's how I will differentiate. So there's also a fork on the end here. And in the top view, you can see on your drawing that this is basically a Y shape, or you may call it a fork shape, a yoke, you may call that a yoke shape. In any event, it's got a wall thickness of 1/4 inch. And so that's the distance between this hidden line edge and that edge. And its overall distance from the center line here to its outer edge, is 1.5 inches. So let's do those offsets. O, enter, 1.5, enter, and then 1/4 inch. There you go. So in my object, with an object line, this is to complete this yoke shape. I would just click on that line and go across here. And I could mirror that across the bottom or just do that. Pretty simple. And then put in my hidden line. Okay. So that is the complete yoke shape. And these two circles represent the completed pivot. So again, how are these two features connected? With a web across the middle and then these ribs on the upper and lower portion. Let's do the rib. The ribbing is really simple. That's just a basic tangent. Just go to my object layer and click on this corner and go to tangent up here. And you want to see that tangent symbol light up. There it is, and it will say the word tangent. Bam. Again, you could mirror that to the other side or just draw it again if you want. And it says tangent. Bam. Okay. So that's that. Now for the webbing is given to us as a 1/4 of an inch thick. So I'm going to offset this center line half that distance. So O, enter, 0.125, 1/8 of an inch on both sides. And then with my object line, I will connect that guy. There it is. And again, like I've been saying, I could just be doing this one time and mirroring the whole thing. I'm doing both sides actually for your benefit so that you can see me do the operations twice. Going to my fillet command now, clicking on the fillet button and typing R, enter. I'll enter in the radius of 0.12, and that's the radius we're going to use on everything. And then I'll just start filleting all these lines. You know the deal, when you fillet to a straight line, it gets wiped out pretty easily. You can make sacrificial lines if you want, or new lines. So I just made a new line there. There you go. This one also curves up into the top, so don't forget to do that. And in doing so, it leaves an empty space. So check this out. We'll have to fix this. So that line we can pull back toward that guy. So just click on that endpoint and drag him back to there. So that pretty much finishes up the left side of this project. And now we'll move to the right. I'm sorry, I said those backwards. That finishes up the right side, and now we'll move over to the left. I'm going to trim away these center lines right here because they don't apply to what we're doing here. So I'm going to get rid of the center, those guys there. And offset this center line, the thickness of the webbing in question. So the webbing on this side is thicker than the webbing on this side. This side it was a 1/4 inch total. On this side it's 0.38 total. So my offset is 0.19 up and then down, 0.19 up and then down. And so that will give us this thickness in the middle. Let's look at the overall length here. If you look on your part, we're told that the width of this left side of the rocker arm is 2 inches, which means the radius of this circular portion in the top view is half of that, or 1 inch. So I'm going to offset this line, this center line, 1 inch, and that will give us its edge. So from here to here, it's a total of 2 inches. And I can just show you very quickly what I'm talking about. From here to there, that's a 2 inch distance. Yeah. In fact, I should have offset that line to the other side. I don't know why I didn't. So let me do that to the other side as well. There you go. And that gives us the full size of the arcs. Okay. Now, with regard to making the arcs themselves, it's not a 2-inch circle. So you might think, oh, well, if it's 2 inches round, well then, is this what we're doing? No, that is not a 2-inch arc. In fact, we are told that the arc that goes there, that makes up this surface, is actually a 3-inch diameter or a 1.5-inch radius. So you could click on anywhere on the center point and type in the 1.5 as the radius, and that's the correct curvature. Wherever you clicked on here, it's not of concern. The thing you need to do is move this arc into place. So I am going to click Move, Enter, and select the arc, and then move it from where it intersects this construction line. So I'm going to click on that point and move it down to where it belongs. You see, it's just this portion of the arc that we're keeping. So I can now trim away the rest of it. Just get rid of that and then delete the rest of it. That's it. Having done that, I could now come in here with my object line and complete the main web here. There it is. The top of this arc needs to be flattened off. And it's flattened off where this hole is. This is the hole that going through here that creates this flat. If that hole wasn't there, it would just remain curved like this, but it has a hole going through it. And that hole, its diameter is 0.75. So we would offset half that distance on both sides. So O, enter, 0.375 on both sides. Now imagine drilling that hole through and it would take out that little center portion. So I would connect these two lines here and then trim away that bit, leaving the flat that the hole would create in the side view. If you want to draw the outlines of that hole now, probably be a good time to do it. There they are. Imagine the hole going through it. Just as a quick recap, making this arc, again, it's a 1.5 radius. So I'll do it with a different color now, the hidden lines, just for demonstration. I'm going to, anywhere on the center line, just randomly pick a point on the center line here and make a 3-inch circle or a 1.5 radius circle. There it is. And move it anywhere up and down the line here, just so you can see it better. There it is. And now to move it properly into place, I need to select it by this intersection point right here and move that intersection point to this point. So enter, select the circle, and grab it from that intersection point where it meets the construction line that makes up the end of this part, and then move it to where it should be, right there. There it is. And then you would offset the center line 3/8 of an inch on both sides. Draw a line across, and then trim away the little bit on top. There it is. And of course, the remnants here. And that's how you would do it. Okay. Finishing off the upper portion of this arm, we have this angled line, and that's pretty simple. Just gonna go from this point right here to tangent. And make sure you see the tangent snap. There it is. It's saying the word tangent, and click. Okay, last thing we got to do is the underside here. This is a little tricky. The placement of this arc is what makes it tricky. We are given some unusual dimensions that locate it. First, we are told its center point, which I have in white here, is 0.620 from the very top edge down. So to locate that, I have to create a center line. And I'm just going to copy this one right here. And so I've copied that center line to the top, that construction line. And so now it's definitely flush with the top. And I have to offset it downward 0.62. So that's what I'm going to do. Oh, enter, 0.62, enter, and offset that guy downward. So the center of this arc is somewhere on that line. This is kind of like before when we made this thing. I don't know exactly where, but it's definitely on that line. I can click circle and click anywhere on that line, maybe let's say right here, and make an arc whose radius is 1. So there it is. That is for sure the size of the circle in question. I'm not sure where it goes side to side. I'm not sure where it's located in this direction, but I know vertically it is correctly placed because its center is on that line I just made, that 0.62 offset line. I'll show that one more time. I'll dimension that there. There it is. That is the line that I offset. That is the center of this thing. So as far as locating it side to side, they give us another dimension, this 0.12 dimension. And so to do that one, I have to offset 0.12 from the edge of the hole. So the line that created the right edge of this hole, I'm going to offset 0.12. And then I'm going to move this circle from that point of intersection to right there where it ought to go. So here we go. Move, M, enter. And you know what? Before I move it, I'm going to trim it away. So TR, enter, and I'm going to just trim apart for sure the parts I don't need. Get rid of that. Okay, so it's a little less complicated. And now I'm going to move it. M, enter. From this point right here where it intersects that line to the line I just created, that offset. There it is. Okay, so that arc is definitely in place. We're in good shape. And now all I have to do is connect it to this arc. And it's basically a tangent to a tangent, which can be a little tricky for AutoCAD because you can't have a tangent as an initial point. So I could just snap it down here, let's say, and then on this side, snap it to tangent. And now I can grab the endpoint and snap it to tangent over here and make sure the tangent snap is lighting up. I think it's pretty much on center. There it is. Tangent line, it's almost exactly on center. And you could do, if you want to check it again, you could do the same thing over here. Grab this thing's endpoint and make sure it's saying the word tangent. And again, it's pretty much on center with these two. They're similar, they're very similar in size. It's when you have a big one going to a small one that the point of tangency is actually fairly far from the center line. So once you got that guy in place, you can trim this little bit out here. And now you've got it. So that's pretty good. All that remains is the fillets. So I go to my fillet command, get this guy here. And this corner over here, the upper portion is not filleted because it has been machined afterward. And so with a square edge, it's a machined surface. So those are the only two fillets on this side, just those two there. Turn off my construction lines, zoom out a little bit. See where we're at. We'll do the center lines and such next time, and dimensions, of course. Looks like one last feature I need to place in here before we go is this little hole, and that's pretty simple. That is a 1/4 inch hole, so we'll just offset the center line there an 1/8 of an inch. So O, enter 0.125. And zoom in on that. Draw those edges correctly. Make sure you get them right there to there. And there to there. There it is. Okay.